thanks everyone for coming along to today's talk on Profile2. It's a tool I've been sort of developing for a number of years. It started out as a JISC-funded grant, and I've sort of carried it on in sort of a personal capacity, just with love of the software, I guess. So we're going to be looking at Profile2. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is, where we're at in its development, some of the social features that we've built in, and what's actually coming along in next releases, and also a bit of a demo so you can see how it works. So if you've used the profile tool in Sakai, the old one, you'll know it's a little bit lacking. Out of the box you can't actually upload your own picture, and some of the information was duplicated with the account, so you could actually have a different name, and some of it wasn't getting in sync. So we thought, rather than try and extend that, let's just redo it from the ground up. We used a different display technology for that, which allowed us to perform quite a few sort of rich AJAX, add some rich AJAX components to it. We use the same back end though, but we've extended that to add more fields. We've added in a bunch of social networking features as well, so you can post status updates, and if you have a Twitter account, you can link that. You can find people based on name or common interest, view their profiles, add them as connections, send them messages. You can share pictures with them, or essentially, it's like a little mini Facebook for Sakai. So we've seen in the keynote that Ian gave about what's coming in Sakai 3. This is something for Sakai 2, which we hope will get people in that frame set. So when they eventually move to Sakai 3, perhaps they'll already be in the sort of social networking mindset. We've built in a rich set of privacy controls. These are on a per user basis. So for most of the components that you can put into your profile, like your personal information, you know, your staff information, like where your office building might be, your picture, if you want to turn on your birth year, you can share all them with different people. You can see in the diagram here that for my profile image, I've got everyone can see that. For my contact information, which is like my phone number and email address, only I can see that. And for down the bottom here, once I've added someone as a connection, they move into a different sort of different group, so I can share information with just those people. So the pictures that I upload, only my connections can see those, and only my connections can send me like private messages as well. So all configurable. The defaults can be set on a per institution basis as well. So if you want to, by default, have it so that all of this is quite locked down, you can do that. We've built in a lot of configuration into this. So you also get a rich set of preferences that you can control. So email notifications, if someone adds you as a connection, do you want to get an email for that? If someone sends you a message, do you want to get an email for that? You can link in your Twitter account here. We're also adding in like a Twitter role, so that you can actually see your Twitter feed in Profile2. We've added in official institutional images. So if your institution has those images, say from like your university ID card, if you've got a database of those images, you can either point the system at a URL where it can find them, or you can add them to the system, and those images will come through. You can then also set in the properties whether or not people can upload their own. So if you just want to have the institutional image and people can't change them, you can set that, or you can allow them to upload. Sometimes they're a little boring, those institutional images, so you know, if people want to upload a picture of their cat or something, they can do that. And a new feature in the widget settings down the bottom is a Kudos rating. This is essentially how complete your profile is, kind of like the, if anyone uses like the OLO or I think LinkedIn may have a Kudos rating, you get a score based on how much information you've put into Profile2, how open that is, and how much you use it. So if you send a lot of messages or add a lot of people as connections, you get more points for that, and it's calculated, and so you can show that on your profile if you wish. All of these defaults, again, configurable when you install the tool, so you can have all these changed per institution and lock them down as well. So where we're at in the development, we've had 20 releases of this tool. First one was in January 2009, and we're just about to do the 21st release, which will be for the new version of Sakai 2.7.2, so there'll be an update there. And we're also about to code freeze for Sakai 2.8, which will include all of these new features in Sakai 2.8. A little bit of history between 1.2 and 1.3. So 1.3 is the version that we released for Sakai 2.7. It's included in that as the default profile. There was 64 JIRAs, 19 bugs, a few contributed patches, and a bunch of tasks, which were mainly just maintenance, clean up code and add things that we thought we needed. If you include 1.2 in that, then that number rises to 109. So that essentially represents about 6 months of development. So from January 2009 to about sort of September or so, or a little bit more than 6 months. So quite active development, and from a small team as well. There's myself and another fella back in Lancaster University who's also working on Profile 2. For 1.4, we have 238 new fixes going in, and counting still. So when I gave this presentation at the recent conference in Denver in June or July, that number was 200, so now it's 238, and it's still going up. I think that number's even out of date now. So we're still working on it really, really hard. So if you're thinking that you might want to use this tool, the current version is 1.3.12, and we're soon going to be pushing out the 1.3 release. Like I said, this is included in Sakai 2.7, so if you're running that version, you'll automatically have this tool. It is actually available for all releases as well, so it works on everything that you can, every major release of Sakai basically, from 2.4 onwards. So if you're on an old version, you can still use this tool. Okay, very, very easy to install. You don't have to use the source either. In regards to code, between 1.3 and 1.4, we've pretty much completely redone the back end of it. We've added in a bunch of API interfaces, so other services in Sakai can now use this information, so you can get the list of connections. So in a different tool, if you want to build that in, that's now available. We've also added in a bunch of entity providers, which are RESTful interfaces to the profile data. So if you had a tool that was written in, say, JavaScript, you can now access the Profile 2 data. It doesn't have to be a Sakai tool. And it also means that in a different system completely, you could be accessing that data. So the same security and privacy settings are applied, so you can't get information that you're not allowed to get or you're not allowed to see, but you're able to do that in a wider variety of methods. And I've mentioned briefly about the configuration. There's 28 Sakai properties that you can use to configure this, and all of them are optional, so you don't need to set a single one of them. They're all documented on the Profile 2 Confluence space. So if you go to install it, you can have a flick through that and see which options you might want to check on and off. Things like disabling the Twitter feed, or restricting people from uploading images. So we'll spend a little bit of time just talking about the key social features that we've built into this. Like I said, it's quite similar to Facebook. We've even got a very similar layout to Facebook so that people can immediately start using it. They don't need to learn a new interface. Essentially, you can create a profile. That's what Profile 2 is. You can post status updates and link in your Twitter account. You can search for people, view their profile, add them as connections, send them messages. This is all in the current version. In the new version, we've built in the ability to add and share pictures. The Kudos ranking system, which I mentioned, which is the completeness of your profile and how much you use it, plus also the roster integration. So the pictures now come from Profile 2, and that's actually in the 1.3 release as well. So if you're using the current stable version, then you'll get that for free. So what's next in the development? We're planning integrations with other systems, so the ability to pull in your LinkedIn profiles, pull in information from Facebook, to push out that information to Profile2. We're also thinking about how if you're updated in one spot, how that's going to reflect in the other one. We're thinking about how to keep those in sync. We've added in something into Sakai called a external user search user directory provider. This is essentially an interface which allows you to search external systems. So rather than just searching the list of users that are in Sakai, you could get your tech people to write a provider which queries a database sitting somewhere else, or queries an LDAP server on the other side of the world, and you can connect people that way. So we're thinking about how to break down the boundaries of just being inside Sakai itself. So this is actually implemented already in the 2.8 version of Sakai. It's LDAP provider, so tools and services such as Profile2 can ask the provider to search that directory. So, like I said, it's not limited to what's just in Sakai itself. It can be expanded. The photo galleries and the instant messaging, that's all new for 1.4. Again, the send messages, email notifications of what's happening. Again, all backed by the privacy and preference controls. And something that's really new, which has quite a bit of interest in the community, is a system-wide chat. So it's like a little Facebook-style chat bar at the bottom of the browser. Sakai 3 has this already, so we're thinking about how to bring this back to Sakai 2. Initially, because we've already got that information about your connections, so once you're logged in, we can grab that list of connections. Initially, we'll have it so that you can chat with your connections. But then we're thinking about that if you're in a site, there's also the extra people that might be online in that site. So we can add those two groups together and you can chat with people in the site as well. We've added in something called the activity service, which is again another interface where you can query it for who is online, so which one of your connections are online, how long it's been since they've actually done something. So they might be online, but they've walked away from their computer. So if it's been 5 minutes since they've done anything, we might show them as being away, just like in a normal instant messaging client. And this is all backed by ActiveMQ, which is a Java messaging system, and it'll all be written in HTML and JavaScript, so very lightweight, and using the profile entity data, which we can access via JavaScript. So I just want to give you a little bit of a demo of the current version. A little bit smaller. So this is just running on my laptop here. The profile tool, like I said, is the default now. Just a little bit smaller. Something you'll notice is this little toggle menus thing, which gets rid of the menus. That's a new feature for Sakai 2.8. So this is our profile. I think the contrast is a little bit bad on that main image, but you can change your image quite easily just by choosing a file. This is here. Again, you'll notice the similarities with Facebook, the way we've laid this out, so you can type in a status update. Okay, now, if I had an internet connection and I'd linked in my Twitter account, that would have gone out to the Twitter sphere. Again, just hover over the pieces of information and you can set all that information. If you don't fill out one of the pieces of information, it won't show. That was one of the limitations with the old profile, is that the little label would show even if there was nothing to show. So the sort of experience there was a bit lacking. So fill out your contact information, your staff information. If you've done a degree, you can put in publications, link in all your Twitter and Facebook, or your social networking profiles. At the moment they're just links, but we're thinking of ways to expand that to actually pull in that information. And then just some more personal information, things like books, movies, quotes. On the left here is the Kudos rating. So the system's told me that I only get 5 out of 10 if I had a few more friends or had posted a few more status updates. It's a bit sad, I know. If I'd been a bit more active, or if I'd actually filled out my profile properly, then I'd get a higher score when the system calculates what I get. This is a little connections panel, very similar to Facebook again, where you can click through to view their profile. So this user has only filled out a few pieces of information, and they've got an even lower score, possibly because they like Oprah. So then I can obviously go back to my profile as well. Now when you go and view someone else's profile, that's where those privacy controls come in. So it's possible that Erin actually has more information, I just can't see it, so I don't know what her settings are. Let's go back to my profile. And again, the pictures that we've got here, that we've uploaded. So I'll quickly flick through. So here's our pictures, we can add more pictures. It's probably a bit big. That's better. I've already got that one up. So this was developed by Lancaster University, and some other things that we're going to build into this is the ability to create actual albums. So you can publish those albums rather than just all being in one big stack. So our connections, I've only got one friend, but we can then do a search. So if I want to search for anyone that's named Dexter, I'll actually get one person. Now this person doesn't have a profile image, but it's possible that they do. They might have just not allowed everyone to see it. It might only be open to connections. So I could send them a connection request. Okay, so that's gone off. And if he had an email, like he's in his preferences, if he's activated the email settings, then he would have received an email. He can click on that to approve the connection straight away. So you can also search by common interest, and this will scan all the profile fields and find related keywords. So we can also send messages. At the moment it's only working on the list of connections, so once I start typing I'll find one of my connections. So send that off, and again in the preferences, if you've got that set up for your email, you'll receive one. And I'll log in as Erin in a moment, and we can post a reply and we can see how it's all threaded. We saw the search just before, that's linked through with the connections. So managing the privacy settings, if I don't want everyone to see my information and I only want me to see that, I've got my birth year already turned off, and these just tell you a little bit about what you're going to do. So only my connections can see that. Okay, so that's all done. And preferences. So again, just flick them on and off. I don't have an internet connection, so this is just going to keep spinning, but that would be where I type in my Twitter username. This uses OAuth, so we've already converted that over because, as you know, they've turned off the old Twitter API. And again, just simple checkboxes to turn things on and off. So we'll save that one. Okay, so I've sent off a connection request to Dexter, so I'll log in as him. And go to profile. So it says up here that he's got a connection request coming up. And this is where he could actually approve that if he wanted to. So he's confirmed that. Now we're a connection, the list is refreshed. I would have received an email saying that you're now connected. and he can click through to my profile again. So you would have noticed, hopefully just then, that Dexter did actually have a profile image, which I couldn't see before. So now I'm going to log in, and in my profile, there he is there. This is screen resolution issue. But yeah, so he does actually have a profile image. It's just that in his settings, he's got that turned off. So it was not until I actually added him as a connection that I could see that. Alright, any questions on this or something you want to see? Yep.
What's the definition of everyone? Is that everyone who has an account on the system?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Okay, that's the same as the JCR one.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that we're looking at doing, and that is you'll be able to add a list of fields to like a public view, so like a V card or something. So you could click on a panel in here and download, you know, like your phone number or something like that. Not sure how it's going to work in relation to the privacy settings, so it's something we need to think about, but yeah, we thought that might be quite interesting.
Well, presumably it's also something, you said you've got a PHP gateway thing, so
Yeah.
you could put like a directory of people.
That's right, yeah, so we're thinking about using this for our staff directory at ANU, yeah, like some of the data from this. Yep.
Steve, can I ask that link to Twitter? Has it been kind of trialled within institutions like we are here in DET? We're not allowed to have access to Twitter.
Right.
I'm saying we get the Yammer, but anyway, not allowed to have access to Twitter. But testing it, have you done any testing kind of within firewalls like this place here, so the new North Sydney people will not be able to access the Twitter stuff?
So is that a policy you're not allowed to access, or you just can't?
Departmental policy, yeah, no access to Twitter.
All right, so you could turn it off.
Same with Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only the digital media students got access to Facebook, but nobody else can access it.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. So in one of the settings is Twitter allowed, like, and you can just turn that off. So they won't even get the option to link their Twitter account.
Right.
If you did actually want it and you thought that the firewall was going to be an issue, when you start up Sakai, there's a few like parameters you can give it, and one of those is like a proxy. Now, you've got an authenticated proxy, I saw, where you have to type in your username and password. So what you would probably need to do for Sakai, when you start it up, is to have some special account, like a proxy bypass account. So you put in the proxy details and the username and password of like this, test account or something, or like an account that allows the system to do external things. If you were in your browser and you still went to like an external website, you would still need to type in your proxy details. Yeah. So yeah, that allows you, the system, like the server, to make those requests out to Twitter. Yeah. Any more questions before I move on? That's the end anyway. Excellent.
Good timing.
So all of this information, especially all the configuration stuff, is all up on Confluence, and that's the link there. Or you can just do a search for Profile2 Sakai in Google or something; it'll come up. Yeah, and like I said, it's available for all the versions of Sakai. So even if you're running, so you guys are running through RSmart, and I know in their next version they've actually bundled Sakai's, Profile2 as well. So you might actually get it soon, or you could ask them to put it in there. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to meet you and your alter egos.
Oh, very
Just,
nice.
from NSI. Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Steve.
Thanks for coming.